When I was a little girl, I was obsessed with books like The Secret Garden, where there were hidden passages and secret entrances to these magical places. I also loved choose your own adventure books, where you could decide your fate. And I think the reason I loved stories like this so much, and perhaps you too, is because normal life was just so mundane. You get from point A to point B, and there's never any surprises until you start reality shifting. Now, the really cool thing that I found about reality shifting is that if you happen to be in a plane of existence that you feel a little stuck in, there's almost always a hidden door. And it takes opening your eyes to the right type of sight to be able to see it. And very often it comes from the mind. And if you can shift the way you are looking at things, if you can shift how you are thinking about your situation, then you can raise the possibility of finding that hidden door. Reality shifting is like this culmination of so many different things: mindset, roles, identity, archetypes, who you're co-creating with, who's close in your orbit, what you desire, how you behave, how you interact with the world, and then this wild card of your destiny. And sometimes there can also be things that are just outside of your control entirely. You could be at the wrong place at the wrong time. You could be in a society that is taking a nosedive into the ground, great empires falling. You're trying to manifest a particular destiny because that's all you ever know. Let's say you want to get a big 5 corporate job at some point in your life, but you don't know that there aren't going to be any corporations left by the time that you get to the job market. It's that sort of thing. Like, you build a map, you build a manifestation based on where you think you want to go. But where you think you want to go is very often just a recapitulation of what society has for you. And so you look around and you say, I want a life like that. And then so you start constructing and building a life like that, whatever that is. And then you find yourself in the middle of a revolution where everything is topsy-turvy. And so what do? Are you stuck? Are you in the wrong place at the wrong time, really? Or did you just not see it coming around the corner? Did you not know where your place was? And so by understanding your soul's template, your archetype, when and if that happens, depending on which reality layer you're in, and there are several that will be undergoing these massive transformations, and people will be scared. And there will be a lot of crumbling of infrastructures and systems that were always meant to be upgraded and fail in some cases, because it is like running a startup. And at some point, the systems that were designed for those earlier stages of that entrepreneurship model, the business outgrows it. It's so straightforward. And there doesn't have to be anybody evil. Now, there may be evil people. I'm not saying that they don't exist. And I'm not saying that they aren't responsible. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that at some point, every company and every society has to go through an upgrade, because the people there, the product, the service, the whatever it is, starts to become overextended. I mean, think about it. There are still courtrooms that use fax machines. Who knows how to work a fax machine anymore? Do you? I barely know how to work a copier. And I should know how to use it. I've used a couple in my life. And so imagine for a moment being in a digital society and still having to use a fax machine. Oh, we'll just make digital faxes? What? You mean send a file? Send a PDF through email? What? Oh, but that's not secure? And fax machines are. Okay. So when our infrastructure is built from certain perspectives and viewpoints, it made sense to have certain pieces of machinery or certain approaches in life. But then we fast forward like 20 or 30 or 40 years, and we start to realize that we don't really need some of that clutter. And now we have such powerful, sophisticated tools and integrations to make our lives easier. We really are stepping into the next industrial revolution, except it's not going to be industrial. It'll be, I don't know. It definitely includes AI. I believe it also includes other technology as well. And so we're going to see this amazing transformation. And as a result, some of the realities that you may have manifested for yourself will not come into fruition. That doesn't mean something went wrong. And so by understanding your calling, your purpose, and this is what I help people with in our reality shifting, because it is so important. The vibration of purpose, the vibration of authenticity is so powerful and is such a catalyst. You see, oftentimes when we start from the mind, we think, oh, this is a great idea. But that in of itself can only take you so far. You'll need the passion, the determination, the grit, when everything is hitting the fan, you're still jumping out of bed in the morning. You need the heart and mind coherence. You need also the vibration of purpose, meaning your destiny is aligned with, no matter where the road takes you, there will always be a hidden door. One tip that I received when I was going through the early parts of this journey was to look for the Easter eggs. If you're a gamer, then you'll know what this means, but not everybody is, and so I've gotten questions about that. And so it's essentially trying to find the hidden little clues. And things can be going wrong in your perspective, in your mind. But when you see this little clue, You see this little serendipity. It's almost like a little breadcrumb from the universe that says, we've got your back. Just be patient. You see, reality shifting is so dependent upon the mindset, so is manifestation, and there are different principles, but they require you to be able to be very, very fluid. And if you are constantly in a state of, this isn't working, it's never going to work, and doubt, then you shift into a manifestation potential where you start creating that potential preferentially. But if you adjust your mindset and say, it's okay that I have doubts, let me look for the Easter eggs. Oh, the clock says 10:10. Oh, 11:11, 222, 444. Does that happen to you? Those are one of my mainstay Easter eggs. That lets me know that the universe has got my back, even when I don't know where I'm going, or even when everything seems like it's falling apart, or I'm having an emotional reaction. I just had one tonight. I got freaked out about brown recluse spiders in my house. And I have a little baby. And so I spent the last 2 hours researching brown recluses and feeling like, oh my God, I've got a spider infestation. How come I can't reality shift out of this? Oh my God. You know, the whole like emotional experience is just revved up, and I'm just like, I should know better. I'm going to shift and I'm going to manifest this. Oh my God, I'm freaking out. I'm definitely freaking out. Okay, let me calm myself. Okay, let me go to Google and look at some more photos of brown recluse. Oh my God, oh my. Literally, this is what being human is like, right? We have these emotional experiences of fear of disaster, fear of turmoil, fear of something outside of our control. And especially when we feel like we should be in control. And so what happens is that we work ourselves up into a frenzy. And this creates a vibratory field around us that sometimes, not all the time, because if it worked all the time, then every mother would have a child that didn't make it. Every mother would have a child that was seriously harmed. Every mother would have a child that something horrific happened. They got kidnapped, or, you know, and I'm a mother, and I know not all of my listeners are, but I say this to say that it's not all fear. And the vibration of fear does not necessarily snap you into a reality where that comes true. Because then everything that we are afraid of would come true, and that is patently not the case, right? And I know that people say that you have to manage your fear, and that part is true, but it's not so sticky that just because you're afraid that your house is infested with brown recluse spiders and is going to attack your baby at night. I even put a little sheet over the top of her crib. I was like, oh my God, you could crawl in there, and oh my, you know, just because we are afraid of that doesn't mean it is going to come true. Sometimes it does. That's why it's important to still take precautions and to recognize what is and what wants to coexist with you. But it's not so simple that if you are frightened of something, that you're going to be stuck in a reality where that comes true. And it's important to say that, and I'll keep saying that because it's an observation that I've had. I've had many, many fears that were not realized. And there will be times in your life when you on the reality shifting path will feel this sense of responsibility for your vibration and think like, okay, I have to manage my emotions. That part is true, but it doesn't mean just because you're human and you have some outburst or you work yourself up or you have anxiety or depression or whatever it is that you are preferentially going to stick a reality layer to you where all of that comes true. In general, on an average day, you want your vibration to be as high as it possibly can. And so if you have moments, if you have minutes, if you have hours, that's okay. Even if you have a couple of bad days, you want to look at the holistic picture of who you are and your lifeline and where you're going. And you want to keep that average up as much as possible. And this includes really being careful about your social media streams, particularly as we start to continue in society and as we start to observe what is happening to others in the collective. Let your social media streams actually be Easter eggs or doors for you. Cultivate a magical reality stream where I'll just give you an example. I am really into advanced technology, futuristic technology, and quantum technology in particular. And so as a result, I'm very curious about where society is going as it relates to consciousness modulation technology and physics and other worlds. And I have another social media stream to where I look at the horror that is unfolding. I actually abandoned that channel as a content creator and just started observing. And it started with one of the disasters. I don't want to say which one. And I noticed that there was this intrigue within me, this, am I watching a train wreck in slow motion? Is the society that I knew and loved falling? And what does it mean? And what I found is that watching all of that content lowered my vibration and put me into a fear state. It's kind of like with the recluse spiders. There's a reason that I started researching it because I've seen now 4 of them in the last couple of days. And it's very unsettling, right? When you start to see a pattern, when you start to see a trend. And so then you start to ask yourself, is there something to be worried about? This is a normal human response. And so when we are consuming content that makes us doom scroll, it's that same, oh my God, is there something to worry about? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. And so if you find yourself in a state like that, or if you find yourself locked into a reality that you can't shift back, what you can do is you can look for the hidden door of transmutation. Perhaps the way out is through. And perhaps you only need to go to mile marker 33 with the collective, but you're starting at mile marker 15. So as you start progressing through this reality layer with the collective, you're looking at everything and you're saying, oh my God, it's the spiders, oh my. And that grows in intensity, grows in anxiety. And you might start to feel like reality shifting. If it's real, then we need to shift out of here right now. But you have a convergence point at mile marker 33 that you have to get to first. Whereas the rest of the collective, who for whatever reason signed up for a hell realm, signed up for a hero villain story, is it the Nazis? Is it the Jews, that are still entrenched in dualism and judge people by the color of their skin still? Like at some point there's a group of us that have graduated and we're ready to take a train onto a different collective, right? We're done with the hate crimes of sexual preference and gender and ethnicity and religious orientation. Like at some point we graduate and we're like, do we have to go there? But there is a group of people, several groups of people that are itching to have wars like that. So they're going on to mile marker 55. You might start to see where they're headed. And inside you might have a little bit of panic, anxiety, fear. And so I want you to remember this, that all you have to do is just look for the hidden door or look for the Easter eggs. Because if your path, slight chills on my arms, if your path is blessed and you know it and you feel it, if you're seeing 1010, 1111, 222, 444, whatever your sequence is, those just happen to be important to me, but everybody has their own sequence, right? Where you see a license plate and it has the same letters, and you see another car with the same letters, maybe like in a slightly different configuration, where instead of an O, it's a 0. And then you see another car that has, it's impossible, right? That has a similar vernacular. Everybody has their own set of symbols. So that's an indication that the universe is watching over you. You hear a song and you have these lyrics that stand out to you, and then you're talking to a loved one and they tell you the same phrase that was standing out to you in the lyrics. That's another way it works too. And so these are all indications that you are supported on your journey and there's nothing to worry about. But at times it might not feel that way. Another thing you can do is you can look for reality shears where things like just randomly appear or disappear. And instead of your mindset telling you somebody's messing with me, right? That's one possibility. Some situations that is the right answer. But for reality shifters, it could also be a different possibility that you are reality shifting, and this is evidence of that. You might start to see businesses that you haven't seen for a while. You might see new places on your route. There are many, many indications, many KPIs of reality shifting. To remain positive about it, keep a journal. I had somebody reach out to me recently that was worried that reality shifting wasn't working, even though they had numerous indications that it was. And I asked them, why do you feel like it's not working when you have so many indications and positive signs? But they were still caught up in the emotions, right? Like I was tonight. All the spiders, oh my God, my house is, how am I going to sleep? And this is part of our emotional mastery journey, where we have to breathe, we have to settle ourselves, regulate ourselves, and realize there are some things out of our control. There are times that we have to go through the mile markers that we don't think that we should, but actually we do, because the door that we're trying to get to requires us to pass through a certain place in space and time. And the key is to not get tunnel visioned on the emotional reaction, on the fear. The key is to keep your eyes open always for that hidden door. Always. So listen, if you would like to work one-on-one, I am a reality shifting coach and guide. I am your guide to the other side, potentially. If you have questions, if you need some advice, if you're interested in maybe working one-on-one to help you get to your highest lifeline, to figure out what your purpose is. You know how hard that is for a lot of people to figure out, myself included? It's really tricky, actually, to be in the vibration of purpose and authenticity. So if you need help with that, then we can work on that too. Feel free to reach out to me at sacredjourneyproductions@gmail.com. Okay, we'll talk soon.